It's episode 21 of Whole Lot of Wolves Season 6. I'm Joshua Buckley, joined by Paul LePage.
Hello.
Danny on the socials in Baltimore.
Hello.
And joining us from the Netherlands, our producer, Mr. Alex Patakis.
Hello.
Well, over the festive period, we saw a 2-1 loss to Liverpool, which had a strong second half. And then we saw a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford against Manchester United. But of course, we have to start off with, boys, we won a game. We won a game. I'm opening up the Esferzo cab. Let's go.
Oh my God.
We got not only did we win, we got 3-0 with a clean sheet against West Ham. Boy, oh boy, Paul, how good did this feel?
It did. Like, we can actually just have an episode. We can put everything of this season just on the back burner and just forget about it and enjoy a show of talking about a league victory and everything that came with it. I was made to go to the mall yesterday. So I actually showed some pride, put my jersey on because I could walk around without the paper bag on. And I had one comment say, you don't see many of those jerseys in America. And another one who said, oh, good win for your boys today. And I said to him, I said, yeah, but it makes a change. And he laughed. So it was nice just having that, just being happy and content at a league win this season.
Yeah, I definitely wore my hat yesterday proudly. Wolves. Alex, what's going on in the Netherlands? Have you been, did you sport today your Wolves kit?
Proudly wearing a hat as well, which is nice. To be fair, it's kind of my standard dog walking attire, just throw on the Wolves hat in the morning. But at least this time I didn't have to do so and hope that nobody says anything about Wolves. Are you kidding? Which is good. And the festive period was actually, at least for me, very easy because Liverpool and Manchester United, pretty easy to catch that game, even at that isn't necessarily a Premier League specific kind of bar. So that was nice. So the settling in mid-period has been a little easier because of that.
Guys, this is good wine. This 1-pack Sauvignon Blanc.
It's aged now,
yeah.
having waited.
Yeah, it is aged. So, what a start yesterday. It was 3-0 in the first half. Hwang legacy game, Danny. He had an assist. He had a PK. Was busting his butt out there. How about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk a lot about him because I had a peek at the questions that came in. No, I mean, it's exactly what we hope that he does every game. I think you have to caveat everything with this game with, it was against West Ham. And also, we will need to be more consistent in the future. But yeah, I don't know how many times have we said it on here that having him deep or having him wide just is not helpful. And no surprise that the way that he made himself dangerous in this game was by being very close to the box and receiving the ball and laying it off and making quick decisions, the things that we actually know that he's good at. So yeah, it was a great game for him. And if he hadn't come off a little bit early, could have even been man of the match.
Another guy who came through, it's been a little rough this season, but John Arias with a goal. And Paul, I was reading today about how he switched positions for the Man U game. And now you're kind of starting to see a little bit of what we thought we were getting when we signed him over the summer.
I think you could say that about the previous example of Wang is that there's such a lot to do with confidence. And the thing for the Arias one is even up to this point, everyone's been struggling to see where his best position is. Now, if Edwards has stumbled upon this or it has been in the works for a while, for however it's come about, we now seem to have that dynamic of a more central defensive midfielder, and two that you'd look at as be traditionally more forward thinking, advanced forwards, but playing in the midfield. It's certainly come to have a beneficial effect in terms of attacking output, but at the same time not leave us super exposed down the middle and put a ton of pressure on the opponent, on the defense. I would mention opponents because we don't know how we're going to look when we come up against a more competent team, and I'm going to include Manchester United in that as well. I'm not saying they were anything special when we rock up there and get a point, but if we are playing like that against teams that we can get something out of potentially, then I think it makes a ton of difference. And for Irish to get on the end of those opportunities as a general attacking midfielder, but also to the Wang example, and also including Tolo in this, in that it makes it a much more dynamic attacking intent if you've got Mane, Arias, Wang, and Tolu all on the pitch at the same time.
Well, Danny mentioned that Hwang might have been man of the match if he lost the thing. I think we can all agree the man of the match was the new wonder kid, Mateus Mané. He had his first
match.
Yeah, he had his first Premier League goal. He is now the youngest Wolves EPL scorer, 18 years, 109 days. Here's some stats for you that I found. 32 touches, 14 passes attempted with 11 completed, 5 recoveries, 4 tackles, 2 shots, 2 on target, 1 cross, 1 penalty, 1, and just a beautiful goal. How exciting is he to watch, Alex?
No, I mean, it's extremely exciting. I would say is the most exciting thing, I think, now and going forward for this team. He was incredible in that game. Obviously, the goal is the headline grabber, and I thought he did so many other really amazing things in this game as well. The skill to make that turn off of the pass from Bueno and put that ball in the bottom left corner of the net was incredible. Later in the game, he nearly curled one in with his right foot when he split. I think it was Jared Bowen and somebody else. Late in the game, I know West Ham is scrambling. The game is basically over, but I mean, even that was like extremely impressive. He's got so much skill. The fact that, just what was it, like 2 years ago, he's was added to our academy from Rochdale, like non-league football, and now we're talking about maybe one of the best homegrown young talents that we can remember in a really long time from Wolves, is incredible. And I just think, I think there were some really good performances in this game and a lot of players who were playing for the badge, but it just makes me wonder why he didn't play sooner. And I think I'm just so excited that I feel like there's no way he's coming off the pitch going forward, barring lack of fitness, because the most interesting thing for me, other than unless they could actually make some type of run to try to stay up, is going to be watching the development of him for the rest of the season. Now, I hope he's not too good too quick, because I would like another season of him. That's my only concern at this point. But as we saw, as confirmed this week in the wake of that incredible performance, he is under contract through 2029. So Wolves are about as protected as they could be if he continues to skyrocket in his development.
Yeah, Danny, obviously that was big news because with his match yesterday, everybody's like, dear God, please just give this kid a contract extension. Well, he's locked in for a while. Do you feel like if/when Wolves are relegated this year, it could be difficult to keep him this summer?
I think it still depends on him. I think that, I'm sure that even a couple of weeks ago we were saying, don't rush this, let him play his part. But now it feels like the way that we expect January to go, I just can't see him getting dislodged from his position unless, he falls off. And if he falls off, then obviously he's going to stick around with us in the championship. But if he continues being one of our more interesting dynamic players through the end of the season. And if we have anything like a respectable points return for the second half of the season, then I think it's not hard to imagine some, team that likes to dump loads of cash in various places decide that he's the next one to bring in, whether that's, a Chelsea or a United or whoever. So it's not out of the realms of possibility even with this contract. But obviously, like Alex said, we're about as protected as we could be.
Paul, where does Mané's song rank amongst Wolves players in the past? Because now it's got the Mané with the zombie chorus to it. Just fantastic. Whoever came up with that, bravo.
I think it's decent, but we just struggling with originality so much that it's not the first time that we've heard it around the grounds of the UK. I think it's even in the cricket right now as well. So with England playing in Australia. But it's been a long time since we've had any type of originality. But what I would say is that it does show the measure of the player, that within just a few weeks, if he started to carve out his own song, then you could just tell that the Wolves, the Wolves fans have certainly warmed to him, like we all have, and he's got that type of status. And at least it's kind of not the he's one of our own one either. That's a little too cliched. So yeah, decent attempt. I hope that it at least sticks for him to have that uniqueness for him as an individual.
Someone else that we saw over the festive period finally get his chance. And really, I feel like he's been making the most of it, Alex, and that's Tolu. He nearly had a header to score, but really he's doing a lot of dirty work. He's being physical in there. It seems like he's giving Wolves what Strand Larson was supposed to this year.
Yeah, I agree. As he's come in and he's been really good in this game. He was great. I think he does a lot of the things that we thought we would get from Strand Larson, as you said. Even on that first goal, I saw Dan Butler, who's a Wolves fan and a great analyst on Twitter. Go check it out. Just highlight his movement on that goal where Hwang had that cross into Arias, and he basically, I guess the nicest way to put it is like manipulates Kilman like a few times throughout the course of that buildup. And the run he made to the front post to basically just create the space for Arias to run in. He's doing a lot even when he's not on the ball, and that's something that, again, I don't know. You just can't question his effort either, like you can't with Strand Larson. Mm-hmm. He won that header over Kilman as well. I will say Kilman had a rough go, which maybe that's continuing the line of former Wolves center backs who don't have a great performance against Wolves, much like when Nathan Collins kept putting goals in his own net for Brentford. That was a while ago now. I got to get over that. But yeah, he's been great. I think there's no way. I mean, if you want to decide to play two strikers, it's the only way that you get Larson back to the starting 11 right now, in my opinion. Again, barring lack of fitness, because he's giving you everything that you want. And I wasn't paying as close attention to the Nigerian national team as I know Danny was, but I just have to say I'm really thankful that they did not bring him to AFCON, which seemed like it was maybe a surprise and I'm sure a disappointment for him personally. But at this point, the way things are going at Wolves, I'm really happy for him to at least have some joy while missing out on that tournament. And it's almost like he has this chip on his shoulder now that I'm glad we can be the beneficiary of him trying to prove something, because he's been great.
Danny, I feel like outside of Mané, the key to Wolves coming back up next year is going to be Tolu's performance.
Yeah, Tolu or mystery striker that we bring in. I'm still not convinced that almost any of them are staying. Not that I think we'll lose every single player, but I just think that there's so much that's up in the air about who could stay and go depending on what they had in their contracts, as well as considerations about the World Cup. But yeah, I agree. I think, if he's with us, which I think seems fairly likely given all that, he's going to be a huge part of it. And we have to have the firepower. That's going to be the biggest shift. I mean, to have to bring it back to Fosun's dereliction over the last few years, to shift from a mindset of what is good enough to survive and to maybe do a little bit more, at least in their telling, to do a little bit more, to a mindset of how do we blow away this league is a completely different task, even if you're, shopping in a different market. So, yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how that shakes out and how that shakes out for Tolo in particular.
Well, before the festive season started, Paul, there was a little bit of people starting to mutter about Rob Edwards and was the team actually improving. But got first win now since I was at Molyneux. And really, even before that, we were starting to see the seeds develop. So is now the time where we can just do away with, hey, the team hasn't improved under Rob Edwards, and just be fine with him staying through the rest of this year at least? You're on mute.
I think so, certainly through to the end of the season. Whether chief executive position and possibly director of football or any front of office changes impacts on that moving forward, we can see. But I don't think personally it's a case of like he's corrected all of the gaping issues, but you just in general looking forward to that sense of positivity a little more, and certainly going to Manchester United, even elements of the Liverpool defeat, and then the win yesterday. All of a sudden, you're not going into these games anymore thinking it's just going to be a rinse and repeat of the season that's gone before it, and are we going to struggle to find a win? I think what yesterday showed, regardless of the ineptitude of West Ham, is that against certain sides now moving forward, I think we can give them a game. I don't think we look too bad away from home in general. It's not like we've been on the hands of some absolute shellackings and losing 4 or 5. It's been by the odd goal against some pretty good opponents like Arsenal, for example. So if you do have some lower end of the league teams, certainly come to Molyneux, I think yesterday's proved that it's not going to be a cakewalk for them as those that were coming up like Brentford were the other week and winning relatively easily. Like yesterday, like Aurier easily could have been the man of the match. We easily could have been 4-5-6-0 win. It was that domineering in terms of some of the saves that he was pulling off. And again, it could be a case of like stumbling into this, or he's using now the skills of his backroom team that are highlighting these particular areas. But you're really starting to see some neat partnerships form. Now, Wang and Tolu could be one of those that we've already mentioned. I think I saw from one of the accounts on X, and apologies I can't give the direct credit, but they were pointing out how much more positive it looks down the left-hand side between Krejci and Bueno. And now all of a sudden you had yesterday that Bueno looked a different player in terms of attacking intent, output. So if he's starting to figure out those different pieces, and even again to the formation of having one central midfielder and 2 attacking players in front of him, it could mean that we're certainly in for an entertaining end to the season, rather than the doom and gloom of continually losing.
And Alex, I feel like that's what Wolves fans want right now. We want more of yesterday, not even necessarily the win, but the spirit and the fight they showed. Do you think that's really the importance right now for the rest of this year?
Yeah, I think so. And that creative atmosphere, which we saw at Molyneux, which does add value. And and ultimately in some capacity has to help contribute to wins, which I know you say even if we don't want them, I do want them, by the way. We do
I
want
want
wins.
them too, yeah.
We need them as desperately as possible. And this is why I feel like even with the Tolu thing, like it may not have anything to do with him being out of his national team, but like you need players with something to prove that are kind of angry. And I just feel like when Larson didn't get his move to Newcastle that he won, you know, I don't know. We could say maybe he was fully healthy, but for whatever reason, his form completely dropped off, and he's probably falls into this like category of players already that I feel like is kind of common at Wolves of late, and that's players who have already proven they're like almost too good to be there. So I think what we saw yesterday was like the players who don't ever kind of like turn to that mentality, like João Gomez, for instance, who always give it their all, were on the pitch, combined with players who feel they have to prove something, and I really think that they did. Like Hugo Bueno is another one. Like it means something to these guys, which is actually really refreshing and something great to see, because we can't really say that about, you know, the last like however many 20 something odd games that they lost in a row. A lot of that just seemed like nobody cared. It was kind of like sleepwalking into relegation, and none of them are going to be here next year anymore. I don't know. I got very excited by that. And if they could even show a shred of that against an Everton team that conceded 4 goals today, you know, there's a chance you could get 2 on the bounce. And then all of a sudden that bit of negativity, even if we are still doomed for relegation, can exist inside of the ground, that no longer exists inside of the ground. And we can start seeing Molineux be Molineux again, which is all we can ask for. You know, like we do this because we love it. I say I'm not there. We want an enjoyable product, and at the end of the day, if we lose, it's like, all right, we're Wolves, but at least we enjoyed it. And yesterday was the first time in a long time I feel like I enjoyed, although I enjoyed the United game. They were competitive, and I enjoyed the second half against Liverpool. From start to finish, it was the first time in a long time I just had genuinely like a great time watching this team.
Did you enjoy the tackle Mane put in on Cunha?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, so good. And I enjoyed Arias against United. You guys mentioned that earlier. I felt like it was almost like he was trying to do, like, I just saw a guy at number 10, like, carrying the ball all over the field against United. Like, because he did do a lot more. I feel like, I don't even look at the numbers, but I feel like his progressive must have been high in that game. I felt like he was dropping deeper to get the ball. And I was like, this is kind of like a poor man's Cunha impression against United from the season opener a couple of years ago. That even got me just these little glimpses. Like, we've been missing so much. Give us a morsel of something to be excited about, and I will latch on right away.
Well, guys, the transfer window is officially open. Wolves have signed no one. However, they do have something it's like a new signing, Danny, and it's Pedro Lima coming back from Porto. What type of impact, if any, do you think he's going to make?
Woof. What a like a new signing that one is. When you already have 2 players in that position. My buddy Edgar texted me about it, and I immediately said that the first thing that this makes me think of is, what does Rob Edwards think of Chachua and Hoover? You know, I mean, it's probably not that deep, because I think, you know, he wasn't getting first team minutes at Porto. I don't think he played a single minute for the first team. He's been playing with Porto B, and I don't even know how many minutes he's gotten there. So, I mean, I think just in terms of his development, you know, he at least needs to go back out on another loan. But I don't know. I can't help but think, given the indecision that we've had across 2 different managers on that side, you know, that he has at least a bit of a chance to get in. You know, and again, he might not be mature enough, really, but it's one of those situations where he can't be that much worse than what we're currently doing. And if he shows the kind of desire and tenacity that Mateus Mané did, then he's going to be a lock for the rest of the season, just based on the fact that, you know, mathematically there's not a ton to fight for. And so it's really just about looking ahead to the next season. So again, if he can show anything on that side that inspires some kind of performance on the right-hand side of the field, then he's got every chance of being our starter for like the majority of the rest of the season. It's crazy to be saying that at this moment.
Man, I want to like Chachua, but Danny, he is definitely the Uno meme, and I posted it yesterday, where it's take on a defender or draw 26, and then he's sitting there holding 26 cards. Like,
Yeah,
that's true. For a guy that's great at crossing and has so much speed, he like almost refuses to take on a guy. It's maddening. Paul, I tend to think Lima's is going to be the starter here. Maybe not right away coming in, but I think starting in February on, I think he's going to be the guy over there, because at some point you have to see what you have, right?
Yeah, there's an element certainly of not having anything to lose, in addition to having some more, hopefully, attacking intent, certainly within the formation as well, that you've got that added cover by playing the three central defenders and him as a wing back. So it's going to be good that if he can come in and fit in there and see what he can do, that, yeah, pressure's off. He's got more of a free reign positionally. You would like to think that he'd be one as well, that if he can build on the remainder of the season, he might not be a departure in the summer, and it's one that could be a good player certainly to have if we do drop.
And we don't know a lot about Lima, but as Paul mentioned and as Danny mentioned, I do think we know that he does have a lot more attacking intent than Chachua, who, we're just begging to take someone on and put a cross in. I like the idea of Lima crossing the ball into Tolu, and I feel more comfortable with a more attack-minded right wing back with recent performances from Yerson Mosquera, who is another player that's just been really kind of all over the pitch. When he's healthy, and I think starting in that right-sided role, I think that will allow somebody to, who does want to get forward a little bit more, do so without sacrificing maybe as much defensively. So I'm excited about that idea, about that pairing, much like, as Paul mentioned earlier, the Krejci and Bueno pairing on the left side is a little bit more exciting. So, yeah, I think Mosquera is another guy who's played his way in and can't leave. And if Lima can fit in and pair well with him, that we might be looking at our problems down the flanks at least somewhat resolved, when it has been a mess up until this point.
Well, probably the biggest question, though, isn't going to be who comes in. It's going to be who comes out, specifically regarding JSL, Danny. There are rumors out there, maybe Everton, maybe West Ham. God, I can't imagine West Ham buying him after how they looked yesterday. What are your thoughts? You think he's gone?
I kind of think he has to be. Not that I think he couldn't be reintegrated into our team and produce potentially. He seems like a okay enough guy, but it's just not working out for him. And so, I think it's one of those where it's best for both parties if he finds a move. I don't, even though I know that mathematically it's virtually impossible to stay up, I don't love the idea of him going to a West Ham or a Forest. Because they are the ones who might, in theory, be below the line at the end of the season. But I feel like he could fit at Everton pretty well, and they might be willing to pay the money that we're asking. But that's going to be the biggest sticking point, And I mean, God, we haven't even talked about our new Nathan Shee that much, but I saw on another podcast that they found, I guess Talking Wolves posted the documentation for him taking over as executive, and I think he's born in 1994 or something. I was just like, oh Lord. I just don't know. I'm so worried about their ability to accurately interact with the market, I want to get as much as we can for him, but I also don't want to carry him through the end of the season sitting on the bench. And he doesn't want that either, presumably, because there's a World Cup coming up where he would like to be Holland stand-in. So yes, I think that he has to go somewhere, probably both for him and for us. Also, it'd free up another spot for us to bring someone in. But where that is, I think, is anybody's guess right now until we know more about the price. But yeah, I think West Ham is unlikely for a number of reasons.
Paul, I think the other one to keep an eye on here is I don't think we're going to have both João Gomez and Andre on this squad at the end of January. And I think we're seeing now that they can't play together and have success, at least with what Robert Edwards is trying to do. So do you think I'm correct in saying that? And if one has to go, who do you think's the one?
I think worst case scenario is they both end up going, which should be pretty disastrous in terms of whether there is anything salvageable this season. Even if it ends up going down, you want players that will put in that fight, that we're able to put a few wins together. And I think certainly one of those in the formation that is found is pretty crucial, because if both depart, because they've both got their reasons with that World Cup on the horizon, they want to be doing as much as possible in order to have them in the window to secure places in that squad, because it is competitive. So I think just if now João Gomez has got the shirt and has done well in the role, and even the case more over the period of the season, in that Andre certainly hasn't hit the heights individually of some of the performance that we've seen in the past, of what he can do. I would be thinking that out the two, you may get João Gomez being content enough to stay, knowing that he's going to be playing, and knowing that he can at least shine in a bad team with the specific remit that he's got in his current role. Whereas I think Andre would have been looking for that move regardless, and I think out the two, he's probably more favourite.
So we mentioned briefly there about Jeff leaving and Nathan coming in to take over. Danny, I think there was a very big tell that things are at least kind of bumping up in the right direction with Fosun there. And that was the Twitter post congratulating the shining star of Wolves fandom, Manny Singh, for being recognized by the king. But after the "Don't be sad, mate," Jeff pretty much blackballed him. And if you notice, none of his stuff was credited whatsoever. Now all of a sudden, Jeff's gone. Hey, we're seeing this again. Does this show just how horribly petty Jeff Shee was, Danny?
It's probably the only kind of confirmation we're ever going to get. I don't think, Jeff Shee is going to end up writing a memoir, or anyone else who's close enough to really tell the tale. But, the things that we've heard behind the scenes, don't paint a good picture. The times that all of you have spent actually over there and interacting with people who are closer to the club, it doesn't paint a good picture. And I noticed that too immediately, that, and it was a very significant event for him, bigger maybe than some other things in the past. But even so, the complete media blackout, after the nonsense of that ridiculous email, complete with spelling errors and everything. I don't know. Unmistakable, very strange. And it wouldn't be Jeff Shee if there weren't one last very strange piece of news.
Yeah. And Alex, I mean, it kind of shows how much some of the staff just hated him too. The fact that the social media team immediately is doing something like that. I can't imagine that was Nathan Shee coming out and saying, okay, we need to post this now. But it's definitely the social media team going, all right, hey, now we can recognize this guy who's doing amazing things, really advertising Wolves as well.
Yeah, it reeks of people going through the backlog of things that need to be corrected and smoothed over as a result of just inexplicable actions from Jeff Shee. So at least somebody was taking notes. And, it's not like we didn't have a good guess that people within the organization, would wince, much like we do every time she would do something like that. But it is good to see them rectify that. Those are the things that matter, and this is why protests work, and bringing to light just what a, terrible, how bad he was at his job and how terrible of a communicator he was. I'm just so glad that that's come to light and some things to feel good about. So, yeah, man. People were paying attention. It's probably, I would venture to guess that even if we know nothing about Nathan Shee, and we're in the midst of an absolutely abysmal season, that building must just be a better one to walk into. Like, the atmosphere must just feel lighter with him not being there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's probably people who wake up and feel a little bit better about going to work than they did before they made that change.
No, I think that's a good point, Alex. Just, I want to say one last thing, which is that it's worth pointing out that the bar is quite low. That like for fixing things like that, with just like the way that the club interacts with the public and with fans and with, supporters that are doing good work in the community and whatever. These are things that can be turned around immediately if in fact Jeff Shee was the source of them, because that culture can change immediately, where the things that they highlight during a very difficult season can change very quickly.
By the way, if you're an American and you are going to Wolverhampton for the first time, reach out to Manny and just find a way to have a conversation with him. Me and my wife talked to him for like 20 minutes when we were out there. Amazing conversation. That is the most genuine dude I have ever met in my life. And he won the Medal of the Order of the British Empire for all this. That's what he was recognized for. Just amazing guy. So glad to see that Wolves are recognizing him again. It says a lot. Well, we are halfway through the season, and it's time to check in on those season predictions that we made in the first episode. How bad do you think these are, Paul?
Wolves, bottom of the table, bad. prior to the Christmas period, bad.
All right. So let's start with top scorer of the season and how many goals. 3 of us said JSL. We had Danny saying 16 goals. I said 15. Paul said 12. And then Alex had Arias with 11, which technically Alex is the closest.
We're still alive. We're still alive.
Shocking.
Let's go.
I can't believe no one had Santi Bueno.
Player of the season, I had João Gomez. But Paul, Alex, and Danny had Andre. I mean, he's not even a starter now, so I don't know. Goal of the season. What would you say, Danny, is the goal of the season so far? We don't have many to choose from. I would guess
Mané's. We might have just watched it.
I had Fer Lopez as the goal of the season. Paul and Alex had Arias, and Danny had Rodrigo Gomez, which, that could still happen. The League Cup finish, I had out in their first game. So close. Danny had 5th round. Alex also had me that they were going to lose that first game. And Paul had the quarterfinals. So close, Paul. So close. FA Cup finish. This is about to start. Paul, you've said they're out against Shrewsbury, essentially.
Yeah.
Alex and Danny have them going one more round. I said the quarterfinals. I don't know.
Still feel good
table
about that
finish. Table finish. You know what, guys? We came in with low expectations, and holy shit, they were even worse than we thought. Alex and I were the closest. We said 17th place. Danny said 16th, and Paul was way off at 15th place. So we expected a bad season, and geez. Surprise of the season. I said that Fabio would still be around, and then the new signings, one big new signing gets hurt early. Okay, I was wrong. kind of surprised there. Paul said we're EPL's lowest payers, and we exit the League Cup on penalty kicks. So I haven't seen the payroll, but I gotta imagine we're pretty close on that.
Yeah.
Alex said a low atmosphere at Molyneux. Bravo, sir. And you also said near record sale. I don't know if that was a player or if that was Fosun selling or what.
I don't
Not
know.
sure. And then Danny said long-term injury to a key player in Mascara over 3 Reds. So can
We're not there
you yeah, can you say the long-term injury to a key player is basically JSL's injury to his freaking mind for being
Yeah,
for
yeah.
being
Does that
turned?
count?
Yeah, I would think so. So let's try this again. We're going to try the midseason. Top scorer and how many goals? Paul, we'll start with you. What are we looking like?
I'm gonna go Tolu with 6.
Tolu with 6. Jesus. Okay, Danny.
You know I'm a numbers guy. I like to look at things objectively. So the answer has to be Santi Bueno. He's going to end with 8 goals.
God, that could be right. 8 goals. Alex, what do you think?
I'm also tempted to take a center back, but a different one if we count Krejci as one, which I think we do. No, you know what? I'm going to ride out the Arias goal prediction so I can at least pat myself on the back. I'm definitely, what did I say, 11?
You had 11.
I'm going to say Arias with 8.
Arias with 8. Wow. Boy, that is amazing second half there.
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
I'm going to say Tolu with 7. I think Tolu's a good shout out. Player of the season, Paul, if there is one.
Yeah, it's got to be Mane, isn't it? Just for these few games, if anything.
Alex?
I am switching to the other Brazilian midfielder and going to what you had and saying João Gomes in the end, the total body of work will look good.
Okay. Danny?
I think the logical answer is what Alex just said, which is that at the end of the season, we're going to say, I don't even want to pick, and João Gomez is still in my good book, and I like him. But I'm going to go Mane also. I think if he can be anything like consistent for the back half of the season, people will be looking forward to the championship.
I think as long as he stays at center back, I think it's going to be Krejci. I think Krejci is the guy who's going to be player of the season. Goal of the season. Have we already seen it, Paul? And if not, who else would do it?
Yeah, it might have been yesterday's just because we're so devoid of that creativity or that spark or anything. So it's either Mane's from yesterday or he's going to do something else like special, maybe like beat 2 or 3 men and curl it in from the corner of the box or something like that. Let's keep it as Mane for me.
Mane. Alex?
I got to give Krejci some love. So I'm going to say in the spirit of Mickey Van de Ven, but nothing nearly as impressive as his goal where he carried the ball all the way down the pitch for Spurs. We're going to see one of these marauding Krejci runs forward, and he's just going to put in a really nice finish. And, yeah, it's going to be Ladislav.
Danny?
Once again, it's probably Mane, but I'm going to stick with my original prediction and go Rodrigo Gomez. I think he's back out on the grass already. He's still got plenty of time, and kind of like Alex's prediction, he's going to go on some mazy run at some point, and that'll be the highlight of the season. Bonus points if he sits one of the top defenders down on his butt.
I'm going to go outside the box here. I feel like we're going to upset one of the top teams at some point, and it's going to be because Pedro Lima takes a freaking crazy-ass shot and makes it. So I'm going to say Pedro Lima, goal of the season.
Why not?
Why not?
I can't
not?
wait until they announce his new loan, like before we put this on Spotify.
Yeah.
Okay, FA Cup finish. They are playing Shrewsbury on Saturday, next Saturday at 7:15 a.m. Eastern. I'll be in Vegas that day. I ain't waking up at 4:15 to watch a Shrewsbury Wolves FA Cup game.
No, you're in Vegas. You'll be staying up until at least 6:15. Come on, it's Vegas.
I don't know. That's my first night in Vegas. I feel like I gotta get the good CPAP sleep before being good to go for the other nights. So, Paul, how far did they make it in the FA Cup?
I'm going to be a masochist and say I'm not changing my original prediction.
First round. All right. Okay, Alex?
I think I'm sticking with my original, which had them winning the first game that they played, which I think will get it done against Shrewsbury.
Okay. Danny?
Yeah, I'm sticking with mine. I think we'll go through against Shrewsbury, and then I look forward to a very horrible game against Brighton or something.
All right, fourth round. You know what? Wolves are making Wembley. They're going to the semis. Why the hell not?
Sure, why not?
Why not? Why not? Table finish. Here we go. Paul, what is your final table finish?
17th.
Oh,
wow. Look at that second half. All right, 17th. That would be incredible, by the way. If they avoid relegation with this, that would be amazing. Alex.
I had them 17th. I can't. I'll have going down. I'll try to be realistic, but I will say 19. I'll say 18th. Actually, 18th. I don't know. West Ham, surely they'll be managerless soon, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Does Nuno survive this? They look brutal. I feel like we could pass Burnley. Yeah, give me 18.
18th. Okay. Danny?
That's what I was thinking. 18th. I desperately want to say 17th, but I'll go 18th.
I say 19th. We're not going to finish last. I don't think we finish last, but it won't be good. And surprise of the season, Paul, or surprise of the second half of the season, I should say.
We end up appointing a semi-competent football man as director of football.
Oh my God.
What is your definition of semi-competent?
Not Jeff Shee.
Has had one previous job in professional football.
Yeah.
Not at the White Lotus.
Not at Club Med.
Born before 1994.
Alex?
I mean, at this point, like what could even be surprising? Who could have seen any of these things coming? I think the atmosphere will change at Molineux, so that's like out the window. And I think that I think it will be that the respect that Hwang wins back. If we're making the prediction from here on forth for the second half of the season, I think it will be collective discourse around Hwang by season's end, which has shifted a little, but again, we're like always one bad performance away from everyone immediately. We're like one bad touch away from everyone immediately flipping on him, and Danny having to basically put on hold the shield over him, like of all the arrows of hate that are coming down. So yeah, that's my prediction. Hwang in good standing by season's end.
Okay. Danny?
Oh, bless you, Alex. I'm so glad you took that one, so I won't do it. And I'll save my bit on Hwang for later because I looked at the questions that came in. God, what would be surprising? I don't want this to happen, and maybe I don't actually think it'll happen, but surprising prediction. Rob Edwards is not the manager at the end of the season.
Ooh.
I actually think that's a pretty good one. Rob Edwards not the manager. Okay. Man, this is tough. even though I said Krejci or Tolu the top scorer, I think that a new signing that comes in will be the second leading scorer, and it's going to be that homeboy who's in Nashville, that English player. Who is it? Sturridge?
Sam Surridge.
Yeah, there we go. Second leading scorer on Wolves this year in the second half. So we'll see. We'll revisit these at the end of the year and laugh just like we did our preseason. There is a game on Wednesday before the FA Cup, and it's at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, and it's Everton versus Wolves. Everton, as Alex said, gave up 4 goals to Brentford. Yikes. But Wolves are on a hot streak, Paul. Is this the birth of a streak?
Potentially. There's not many other teams that you'd be going away from home right at this particular point of our season that you'd be confident of picking something up at. So maybe I don't see it as a win, but I think I could see a decent enough competent performance if it's anything like how we showed up at Old Trafford to come away with the point and get a little bit of momentum still carried on.
All right. Any lineup changes, Alex, or you think it's going to be the same thing? It worked. Don't fix it.
Yeah. Unless I'm misremembering someone that would need to miss this game, I would roll out the same 11.
Okay.
By the way, no one's talking about how this has just been missing the leadership of Captain Jose Sa all season.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk about a prize that we couldn't have expected is him wearing the captain's armband at any point.
Also, I'm stealing this joke
year.
from online, but congratulations to his wife who just had the first conversation with him since April. He says after losses, I don't talk to my wife.
That's true love, man. Oof, brutal. Danny, do you think that if Wolves get this, we could start thinking the impossible?
Oh boy, you're really tipping our hat for the questions, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think it's going to take a couple more wins. I think even like a repeat 3-0 against Everton, I think there's still going to be a lot of caution, at least for me, and I believe a lot of other people, that the math still doesn't work out. But you win that one, and then you win the next one, and then you think, well, maybe. So it's this first step on the road to maybe thinking that it's possible.
All right, let's look at the prediction board here. Alex, you haven't gotten as many in because you've been moving to the Netherlands. You're at the bottom with 7 points. Danny in the guest spot with 10. We have Paul with 12 points because he got that nice 2-1 Liverpool score correct. And then I still have the lead at 16. So, Danny, what you got?
2-0 Wolves.
2-0 Wolves. 2 clean sheets in a row. Love it. Alex.
2-1 Wolves victory.
2-1 Wolves. Wow. Okay,
why not?
Paul.
2-2 draw.
2-2 draw.
That sounds about right.
I don't believe it. 2-1 heartbreaking loss to Everton.
Come on now.
It is what it is. How about Shrewsbury, Danny? The FA Cup on Saturday but early in the morning.
Well, this one is not quite so sarcastic. 2-0 Wolves.
2-0 Wolves. Okay. Alex, you think they're losing, right? Or you think?
No, I have them going through in this one. Yeah. I'm gonna say a 1-0 victory.
1-0 victory. Paul, you have them losing.
Yeah, shall I stick with that, or shall I play for the points of the prediction league?
Hedge your bets.
Hedging his bet.
I think I'm going to go for the prediction league points and say a 2-1 win.
2-1 win. All right. Boy, it's early in the morning. Well, I guess it's not early in the morning for them. It's an early game. It's an FA Cup against a crap opponent. This has 1-0 written all over it. Probably 1-0 Wolves. It's going to be some ugly, stupid goal.
Or Pedro Lima goal of the season.
I don't think he'll start that soon. But if he does, you guys need to text me to wake me up in Vegas so I can celebrate.
I will do that.
That it's come the time of the show for No Stupid Questions, where you, the listener, can ask us anything about these wonderful Wolverhampton Wanderers. You can email us at hello@wholelottofwolves.com, or you can reach us at WLW Pod on X. If you're those watching now on the live stream, we'll take your questions right away in the chat as they come in. So let's start with our friend Ryan Gray of New England Wolves on X, who simply asks, "We couldn't, could we?"
No.
No. No.
So
Says the man who predicted 17th.
as a
hey.
preview to the catchability chart that's to come,
Yes.
no promises. We'll have to put together some wins before there's a catchability chart. But as a preview to that, I think I've read a few sources say that essentially the way you think of it is, in order to survive, we probably need to win around 9 games. Now that's about half of the games that we have remaining. So having 50% wins is quite difficult. So the answer is pretty much no. But it's like I said for the Everton prediction, you win this one and then maybe you beat Forest somewhere. And that's the main thing, is like, if you beat Forest, if you've beaten West Ham and you keep picking up points, then you just see where you're at. But yeah, the answer is no.
Now, maybe the question, though, could have been referring to Derby's or Darby's points record. Points, was it 12 points?
11
Yeah,
points.
11.
11.
So we need to get
12. We need to get 12.
Break it or not break it, I guess.
Not.
Yeah. We need 12. I like us to not have the worst points tally at the end in the Premier League era, actually.
I mean, I think that's the main thing that's happened this week, is lightening the mood. Is like, we literally just, had an increase of 200% on our points in this 1 week out of a draw and a win. So like, being on 2 and then being on 6, you're like, wait a second, we could actually get to 12. That's not crazy. Whereas before those 3 points or those 4 points, it really felt like that might be impossible. So now I'm feeling like fairly optimistic that won't happen. As long as, I don't know, as long as things don't continue the way that they always do. But yeah, no, I feel comfortable about that one.
We have
There's a chance.
Yeah. We have back-to-back questions on Hwang. So we'll start with this one from Drew Freakin, who asks on X, do you think Wolves could get $8 million for Hwang? What about $5 million? What is the least you would accept? Or do we just take them in succession and go right into the next one, which comes from Charlotte Wolves, which kind of goes counter to the point, I think, that Drew was trying to make with his question. Has anyone contemplated that Hwang doesn't suck? He's just a werewolf. So his true talent only comes out during the full moon. Who else in this team? Well, actually, first I thought the question was about Hwang not sucking, but really about who else on this team might have mystical curses that could improve their footballing ability. So let's actually start with the focus on Hwang, who could be a werewolf. Would you take $8 million? I mean, I don't know. I feel like
I'd take $8 million in half a second.
I would not.
I don't think I would either. I don't know. Like,
I'm interested in Paul's thoughts.
Yeah.
I think I'd be interested in dealing at this point in the season for him if it's in around the 10 to 12 million range. We're not going to get that amount that we did when Marseille came in for him, by all accounts. His age is going to factor into it now, and also his wage as well. I doubt they'd want to keep a player of his demographics in terms of age in the Championship for the weekly amount that he's on. So I'd be dealing in December now around the 10 to 12 mark.
By the way, I need somebody with good Photoshop skills to get Hwang Hee-chan as a werewolf so we can have the new picture, a Korean werewolf in England.
We're gonna get canceled somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's not so much that like I wouldn't sell him for that much. To me, it's like there's so many moving parts to this window, trying to prepare for the championship while also trying to like not completely capitulate to the league, um, which is a very difficult line to walk. I think that I see him as being a potentially extremely useful asset in terms of that second point of like trying to not capitulate in this league. But like Paul said, in terms of preparing for the championship, he could be a very useful asset in terms of bringing in money. So I think that's the balance that needs to be struck. I do think that there are probably plenty of players who play generally on the same part of the pitch as he does and do similar things that you could get that would be more preparing for the championship. But I think that it would be a net spend of 0. You'd be buying for what you'd be receiving from him. So it's like, do I care that much? Not really. Whereas like you think about like selling someone like João Gomez, not that we necessarily think that that's going to happen, but the idea there is like you sell João Gomez for 40 or whatever, and then you buy someone who can still hold their own enough for 4 months, but then is going to be a decent championship midfielder, but we have now bought him for like half as much or even less. So I don't think that there's like a huge profit to be made on trading Hwang for a different player in his position. That's sort of my feeling.
Yeah.
Do you feel like anybody else has superhero powers, Paul? Like a werewolf?
Or curses?
Sar's got to be in there somewhere. I can see him as like a wizard, especially with the beard, cloak, staff. He's got some magical ability somewhere just for the craziness.
He's one of the trickster wizards that, twists your
Who
your
would that be
words.
in the Lord of the Rings universe? What wizard would he be, Danny?
Oh, well, now you're really testing me. Well, the wizards really don't operate in that way,
Well, there was that
What-
crazy one in The Hobbit that they just made up where he had the bird crap.
So
on.
Radagast is a real wizard. I'm so glad that this is now this podcast has come to is now we're turning into Lord of the Rings pod. Radagast is a real wizard in the Lord of the Rings, but he isn't anything like that. So maybe he's like that. He's like the Radagast in the Hobbit movies. But yeah, he's not a wizard in Tolkien. That's definitely the case.
I'm gonna go for Rodrigo Gomez having something sort of like the abilities of Storm from X-Men, where he can just summon like wind to flow through his hair, so that there's always a nice breeze wafting through as he's just like sprinting down the pitch with reckless abandon. I got nothing else on that. Anyone? No. Okay. I guess that'll do it for No Stupid Questions then. Thank you for all who wrote them in. Please keep them coming. Again, hello@wholelotofwolves.com is the email address. With the form on our website. Reach us at WLWpod on X. Yeah, keep tuning in. Keep sending the questions. Keep the mood light. Like, I feel like it may just be at least for a few days now over at Compton. So.
That's thanks to Danny on the socials, Alex producing, you, our wonderful audience. You'd be doing us a huge favor helping grow the Whole Lot of Wolves pack if you can go ahead and give us a 5-star review on your podcast platform listening of choice, along with subscribing if you've yet to do so to Whole Lot of Wolves on YouTube, liking our content there as well. We are going to be back around this time next week to cover those Everton and Shrewsbury games and then preview Newcastle at home on Sunday the 18th of Jan. But I will not be. This is my farewell show. I start a brand new role at work tomorrow, so that's going to be the focus for my concentration and spare time for my family on the other side of that as well. So it's not a departure across the world like Alex's, but certainly enough of a step move that I need to prioritize accordingly. But I'm leaving Whole Lot of Wolves in such a fantastic place. It was always my intention just to show that over here in America, we're not bandwagoners. We're not jumping on one of the top 6, top 4 teams. we've got such a pulse of fandom across the country that I think it's been wonderful, wonderful to highlight. So with that, I'm just leaving it in the most wonderful hands of the guys here on the screen as well, just based on the fact of fandom, their knowledge, love of the game, of the club as well. So we're going to be in a great place moving forwards. And with that, I can say a final up the mighty Wolves.